Hey guys, we're back. We're going to be watching game 1 of Mineski versus mith.trust. Which one of these teams is going to be led to slaughter?
Like a fine pack of mutton.
Exactly like that. Alright, we're into the game.
Mutton.
Mineski, mith.trust. It should be pretty sweet though. I think the teams are pretty equally matched. It could go either way. We had some predictions that were on both sides of the board. Mineski played really well yesterday, played against the better team. mith.trust played against the probably worst team, but did take a game off of them. So I think both teams have a really good shot here. And Lone Druid, not too surprising, going to be banned in the first round.
Yeah, just a top tier all around. I think every time we've casted him, with the exception of that Dreams game, they've actually won. It's won, right? Lone Druid? For me anyways. And it's just been so dominant, just because you can put him anywhere.
Except for against a solo gyrocopter. Then bad things happen.
Apparently.
I saw that yesterday. Yeah, Shadow Demon also banned, very common support at the moment, and even been seeing some mid play, and also a Bat Rider getting banned out by mith.trust. So there's another ban coming out. Who are the heroes that are left over that are super good at the moment?
I mean, there's always Magnus, although teams have been playing better and better against him lately. Although he still has that, that game-changing potential with reverse polarity. I mean, I was gonna say Lifestealer, but there he gets banned. Keeper of the Light as a tier 1 support still exists. But there is also Rubik in this. Nyx, somebody we actually haven't seen banned too often lately, is also available in the pool, and actually Gyrocopter going to be the first pick out.
Alright, so Gyrocopter will round out Mineski's possible trial lane. They can put him solo if they have a hero matchup advantage. But for once, I'm actually really happy we won't see a Lifestealer. I think he's kind of boring to watch at times. I mean, he's just so good in a lot of different lanes as well. Rage Open Wounds is really strong. But it's going to be Gyrocopter versus some other kind of carry. And 2 picks for mith.trust here. I'm expecting at least 1 support hero. I'm sure they'll save their mid. Seems like everybody's saving their mid picks at least until second round in most cases, even pucks and things like that. So could go all over the place here.
Yeah, we still have, as I said, the Mag, the Keeper of the Light, Rubik also exists as an option. If they opt to take a carry as well, I mean, the thing I'm a little surprised about is like the emergence of Gyrocopter as the first pick in the Asian scene. I think this is the second time I've actually seen it in 2 days, right? It was done yesterday as well.
I feel like he's been drafted a lot so far for the qualifiers.
I know before the Asian scene was a little hesitant on the hero, I actually talked to a few players that play. Obviously, I'm referencing LGD International because I can't speak Chinese. And they said that hero actually doesn't do a whole lot, but it seems they've come around on him. And Rubik's actually going to be the pick here.
And a Dragon Knight. Wow, we saw Dragon Knight yesterday out of mith.trust, I believe. They played him in the mid role. He's actually pretty hard to gank if you have at least 1 level of Dragon Tail. The stun is fantastic. You can push out the waves pretty easily, and having the armor as well is really, really nice. So he's pretty cool with a bottle. Like most mid-bottle heroes, with the exception of like Magnus, are usually really squishy int heroes. So it's kind of nice to be able to combo that tankiness with all the mana regen and the burst heal and stuff.
Yeah, and it's fantastic at pushing as well. The level 1 poison from his ultimate just makes him a veritable pushing machine. And as well as the fact that both mid players on both teams actually specialize in this hero, as we saw.
Yeah, the Dragon Knight's level 1 ulti does 20 damage per second for 5 seconds against building. It means you can just attack the building once, even though you only hit it for a weak amount of damage. It really does add up quite heavily. So Mineski is going to draft a Visage here, another support hero that we've been seeing very often. It's going to round out a tri lane most likely with Soul Assumption. They'll need probably another hero to set things up because Visage and Gyrocopter are not good setup heroes, but what support are they going to go for? They could just do any kind of range stun. Rubik is usually a good lead up. Shadow Demon is out, but they have a couple other picks. TA, they're going to grab their mid already.
Yeah, and actually, Leshrac is something we've seen a lot in these qualifiers, as he does a really good job of pressuring at the towers. That stun, if you have anything to set up for, is so reliable to hit, and it's AoE to go along with that. And he's one of those supports that actually do really well in the mid game. So much damage output if you can position yourself correctly.
And the AoE stun is constantly a threat. It's 2 seconds, which is huge for any stun duration, but the fact that it's AoE on top of that makes it quite powerful. And Leshrac's skill builds has actually kind of been all over the place. We've seen some Lightning builds and some Edict builds kind of really depend. And mith.trust, their last pick is going to be a Darkseer, so undoubtedly the long lane Darkseer, or if things get crazy and they want aggressive tri lane, they can, but maybe they'll even put a mid against TI. It's actually a counter that we see semi-often in the European scene. At least a lot of the Russian teams seem to really like Darkseer on the mid lane, but I don't think I've seen the Eastern teams do that yet. At least none of the games I've watched so far.
Yeah, actually, I talked to S4 about this, and he doesn't actually think it's a direct counter, Darkseer to TA, just because you can still last hit freely and deny with a hero like Templar Assassin against Darkseer, and it doesn't do too much in that regard. It's also a lot better on the Radiant side if you're going to be mid, just because you can stack that small camp if things go poorly for you, and then do that really easily once you push out the mid lane. So you have 2 avenues of farming.
The TA can do that, or the Darkseer?
The Darkseer can do that, just with Ion Shell. He does it so easily. But being on the Dire side, it's a little more iffy, just because you can't stack that small camp.
Okay. We actually see a Potom ban on a Mineski. We did see Myth use a Potom yesterday in their games. They used it in an aggressive tri-lane, I believe, and they won a tri-lane really effectively with it. I mean, if you can land the arrow, it's a huge duration disable. The lead follow-up can be quite useful, and even though Potom's damage isn't extremely high, the fact that she's a nice ranged hero and has pretty good mobility can actually be quite strong in a tri-lane, just for her auto attacks, even though they are a little bit low.
Yeah, I think she was actually picked twice yesterday by mith.trust, right?
So
and
maybe
it won 1 and lost 1, but still that really clutch arrow hit on the Jakiro to set up that first blood was such a boon to their tri-lane. I mean, as AUI said, in a tri-lane versus tri-lane situation like that, the first kill really makes the difference.
Yeah, it really does. That extra 400 gold can be huge. That's boots or flying courier immediately, or you can buy magic sticks. Magic sticks can be huge as well, because supports can barely survive off of little nukes, things like that. And a Nyx Assassin next from mith.trust. I feel like everybody's been a lot more patient with their picks today than they were yesterday. I mean, they've thought about this for the last 24 hours or so. We could get eliminated today and not have a shot to go to TI3. So I'm sure they did a lot of homework over the last 24.
Yeah, and Myth actually needs 1 more support, and Mineski realizing that they're going to ban out the Keeper of the Light, just because I don't think if they do want to go aggressive, Keeper of the Light is a hero that does really well against it.
Yeah, the Illuminate, if it can hit multiple heroes, is always really, really strong. And then they will have to worry about that, of course. Even the Mana Chakra, or the Chakra Magic, I believe it's called, in combination with a lot of nuker carries, can be really strong as well. So all around, great tri-lane hero, great aggressive, and also great defensive, can give you a lot of options. And even past that, excluding all the laning possibilities, it's so frustrating to push against this hero. And right now, Mineski doesn't really have that much push. If there was a Coddle that they'd have to play against, it would actually be really frustrating if they only had a moderate gold advantage, because it'd be really tough for them to actually take a tower against the Coddle Blast.
Yeah, and Mag's actually going to get banned now too. Mineski is actually missing a long lane hero, and mith.trust actually realizes that and bans it out.
Would you really expect to see a Magnus long lane in this situation? I mean, they could just aim the Darkseer towards where the Magnus is and have a really good shot of outlaning him, I think.
I think it's just getting rid of top tier long lane heroes, more so than the fact that they're worried about the hero so much. I mean, think about how many long lane heroes there are that actually do really well by themselves. There's Darkseer. Magnus is pretty good because all you really need is 1 item, right?
Talking about bottle?
Oh. Well, I mean, and you're a little level dependent, but aside from that, once you hit 6, you just force fights after fight after fight, right?
Yeah.
And then if you land any sort of RP, and then there's Lone Druid who's already banned out, and they took Darkseer themselves. So there's like a large dearth of long heroes, especially since they banned out the Magnus now.
Well, they're going to ban the Weaver as well. Weaver is another great long lane hero, or possibly annoying hero. This is making me think that Mineski is going for possibly not the most reliable lead-up stun, because if they have a Visage and a Gyrocopter, that requires a lot of close movement, and I think they're a little worried about being able to kill that hero. Who is the other support I was expecting? I'm sorry. That one flipped out of my head completely. I have nothing to say.
Yeah, going on that Weaver ban, I actually really like that, just because Mineski actually has no way right now of dealing with it. I mean, their 1 stun right now is the Gyrocopter rocket, and if you go invis, it actually dispels it. You can just run at it. So they actually have no reliable way of dealing with the Weaver, and Clockwork's actually going to get banned, so Myth recognizes that the weakness in Mineski's lineup is the lack of long lane, so they're going to ban out actually 2 of them in the last 2, really smartly.
There's a lot of long lanes getting banned this game, actually. It's going to make it kind of weird. Are we going to see atypical long lanes, or is it just going to be like aggressive tri-lanes? I mean, surely they can pick somebody. There's still heroes in the pool, just not really popular ones at the moment. Clockwork is played a lot. Wisp is going to get drafted by Mineski here. Not the best combo for Gyrocopter in the early tri-lane, but it can work with TA better in the mid-game, I would say. You can also use the overcharge just to deal out his flat cannon damage a little bit faster, but more likely, I would expect to see TA Wisp ganks in the mid-game.
Yeah, and picking a Wisp, I mean, they can still pick something like Tiny or Chaos Knight to pair with that and just do... we saw Gyro playing in the solo short lane. He does quite well by himself just because Flat Cannon keeps the creeps at bay. And you can actually counter push the lane that if the Darkseer decides to creep skip. So that also remains an option for them to pick a kind of tri-core setup. and offensive tri-lane. And with Visage, they actually can do quite well in any sort of offensive tri-lane setup.
How do you feel about this mid matchup here? I'm guessing it's going to be a Dragon Knight mid for mith.trust, because that's what they did yesterday. It's going to be a Dragon Knight versus a TA. It kind of feels like a decent TA matchup, though he does have AoE, so he can still CS and last hit some creeps that TA can't deny, but it seems like a TA favored matchup for me.
Well, it kind of is and it isn't, in the sense that TA actually has no way of dying, but at the same time, Templar Assassin doesn't really do a good job of killing Dragon Knight. And also, as long as Dragon Knight just bottle couriers, he should be perfectly fine spamming Dragon's Breath, because it's such a cost-efficient spell, and it's mana-efficient as well, so well, that's fine.
And they do actually grab the Chaos Knight here, so it looks like it'll be an aggressive tri-lane, Chaos Knight, Wisp, Visage, most likely a safe lane Gyrocopter, expecting to be versus a Darkseer, which is, like we said, a decent matchup for Gyrocopter. It's not as bad as other carry versus soul matchups. He can use Flat Cannon to kill the creeps. If the push comes on Morphling pick, the hero of TI3 has been drafted by mith.trust. He doesn't get played very much right now. Some teams have dabbled trying to make him work, but he's not as strong as he used to be. His waveform has a smaller AoE, and his morph costs twice as much mana to use. I think that's all for nerfs. Has his adaptive strike been buffed again? I can't remember.
I can't actually.
But he is significantly, maybe not significantly worse, but he is worse than he was at TI2. So we'll see how he can do this game. But pretty interesting pick here. Let's take a look at the players quick. We've got Jay playing the Chaos Knight for Mineski. Joven is playing the Templar Assassin. We've got Oa playing the Visage. Fat Dog on the Wisp. And the last player is going to be Yami playing the Gyrocopter. Or Yanni, sorry.
We have TNK on the Darkseer, R5 on the Sand King, Abba, as LD calls him, playing the Dragon Knight, SD playing that Rubik, and Lakel's playing that Morphling. And I actually kind of like this Morphling pick. Mineski doesn't have a lot of stuns or disables. They actually only have one reliable stun from the CK stun, and I think you can actually disjoint the rocket if you wave into it when it comes right at you. So Morph actually has a lot of potential to be a really good pick here. It's similar in the vein of how Weaver would work in this situation. So I'm actually kind of afraid for Mineski that, I mean, you don't really see Morphling pick that often, but in a situation like this, I actually think it's really intelligent.
That is a good point, but there are a lot of BKB carriers on Mineski, so once they grab those, Morphling won't do a whole lot in the early mid-game until he starts grabbing a lot of DPS items. So it might hurt them more in the mid-game, but like you said, it's going to be really tough for him to die. And that's where Morphling was getting really scary at TI2. They might actually engage top here. They're looking at each other. Jay, excuse me, is looking for a stun, but he's not going to get anybody. I mean, he'd have to get a Rift and a stun to be able to set something up. That's going to scare mith.trust back a little bit, but they're really not too worried. Their positioning is okay. And now they're going to spread out and go to their lanes. Dragon Knight to the mid lane. Darkseer most likely all the way to the off lane. Actually, he looks like he's jungling. They have a double courier on the game start. So I guess he is going to be going for a fast bottle perhaps and just bottle currying into the jungle. Is that what's happening? Why is he going just stout salve? This seems really greedy to me.
I think he bought the courier. He bought the second courier. I think he might actually pick up a bottle of his own. And I think the idea would be that Abba gets free control of a bottle of his own that he can bottle courier. And then the Darkseer can as well. That is so innovative, Kevin.
Wow.
That's crazy. I can't actually believe I'm seeing this right now.
Well, we'll see if that works out for him. He's not blocking the bot creeps at all. He'll probably do a double Ion Shell, perhaps. Gyrocopter's going to the bot lane, a lot of regen for him. He's asking for a pause at the moment. He's actually not moving his lane. This could cost him a little bit. He's going to have to reconnect here. So one pause from mith.trust, starting things off. Dragon Knight with Dragon Breath mid. Templar Assassin going extra greedy mid. She knows that Dragon Knight is not a threat at all, so she doesn't even have a tango. She just went 3 Ironwood branches. It's going to take her just over 2 CS. Possibly 3 CS to be able to finish her bottle, and from then on, just going to constantly last hit.
Yeah, and actually I'm really interested to see if this double courier strategy works, and if they'll crow one or both. I assume they'll crow one at least. I don't imagine they'd crow both.
Yeah, they'll crow both. Come on.
That would be insane.
Why? They gotta get the bottle ring.
Their courier or their supports are gonna be so poor though.
Well, maybe Darkseer will courier it. We'll see. He's gonna pick up level 2 though. He's already got 4 CS. Lane is going quite well here. Which tri-lane do you think is more strong right now?
I actually think Mineski has the slight advantage in a tri-lane, just because Sand King's stun is so short and it's difficult to set up, and also because Rubik requires a bit of levels, and they're actually going to go on him at...
Ooh, only a 1-second stun. That's a little unfortunate. Soul Assumption comes through. One more hit and he will go down, but he doesn't have a salve. 24 HP. He's going to end up surviving. If that was a 2-second stun, I mean, that was a 50% chance of dying there, and they didn't get him. That's going to cost him some mana, but the Chaos Knight does have a Clarity Potion, so he can give that to Wisp or just use it himself. Not the biggest loss ever, and that's actually pretty huge for the Rubik because he doesn't have a salve. Sand King doesn't have a salve. The Morphling does, but I don't think he's going to give it to him, so they're going to be really, really weak for the next 15 seconds or 30 seconds or so until this Rubik gets some HP.
Yeah, the issue is how does the Morphling protect the supports, right?
Yeah.
If Jay stuns anybody, and he's mainly going to be going for the Rubik because he's the easiest to kill, how do they stop that? It's really, really difficult for them to.
And he's really heavily morphed into agility right now. He has 9 agility base, 435 HP. Every right click from the Chaos Knight does a massive amount of damage. So he's actually pretty much out of tangos right now. He has 1 salve, and we're only 150 into this game. So this lane is not looking so strong for mith.trust. They have been able to do 1 pull, but they did actually stack the waves. And actually the same thing happened for Mineski. Mineski did the side pull here on the large camp, which immediately Myth has blocked with another sentry ward. So this is going to get rid of their pull advantage, and things are going to be more even coming from here on out. But there's already a 1 level advantage on Mineski in this tri lane. So it's not looking too good for mith.trust here. If we take a look at the mid lane as well, TA's at 8 and 4, whereas the Dragon Knight's at 5. So slight out lane on the mid lane for Mineski, looking really good for them.
Yeah, and actually, Abba actually picked up his bottle, and if you notice where the courier is positioned, oh well, it's actually gone away. He kept it in the middle for a bit and then kind of let it slide away, but now he should just be spamming Breathe Fire and trying to keep the lane pushed out, and also just getting free CS with it. Because I don't think he can actually do anything to stop the TA from farming. At this point, it's just him trying to get as much farm as he can and pick up levels. So once he hits level 6, he can actually just roam around the map and try to pick up towers.
Seen a lot of pauses here, apparently some internet issues or something like that. We're going to see a regen on the top rune for Dragon Knight, so that'll give him plenty of spam. That's like 2 to 3 nukes, not even counting the extra bottle charges it gives, so this is just such a nice advantage for Dragon Knight here. On the mid lane for TA, Joven is actually almost out of mana as well. He does have 2 bottle charges, but Flying Courier's here, so I'm sure he's going to spam his mana and then send it all back.
Yeah, and actually TNK's picked up his bottle as well, so I'd imagine this is where he just spams out. And so yeah, that's the strategy, Kevin.
Wow.
We're going to double bottle Courier.
A lot of water. Don't you think like the fountain would run out of liquid eventually? Like double Courier, man, they're just constantly...
Out of all the things you're going to doubt in Dota physics, it's whether or not a fountain can fill up
a magical
bottles.
Fountain that restores life and does cool things.
A courier with a pig on it just delivered a bottle, and that doesn't strike you as odd?
I mean, it is made out of evil lava. I feel like, alright, maybe you're right. Maybe it can actually refill infinitely. I guess that makes sense. Alright, I'm nitpicking, I'm sorry.
And Darkseer is actually just going to push out the lane bottom, making it a little difficult for Yanni to farm. But, you know, he is just spamming that flat cannon out. So he should be okay. And actually, Darkseer, I'm waiting to see if TNK will actually just creep skip here. Okay, there's 1 flying courier, Kevin, on the map.
Damn, 1 already. He just got his bottle, I believe, and he sent it back. I don't know who upgraded that. It doesn't say.
He might have actually. I can't imagine any of the supports being able to afford that.
I mean, he's got a lot of money, honestly. I mean, he's going to get pretty much every last hit here. He could possibly dive the gyrocopter. He's thinking about it. He's just going to walk into it. He's thinking about casting Iron Shell. Doesn't end up doing it, though. And that baits the gyrocopter into using Flat Cannon in a little bit of Moment of Terror. So that's going to cost him 50 mana, which could hurt him in the long run, but we'll see.
Yeah, and actually, this is kind of paying off for the Darkseer, interestingly enough. I mean, he's not actually 200 farm. He's got 19, 20 CS right now, compared to the 18 of Gyro. He's leading the game right now, and it makes it a lot easier for the supports too, just because they don't have to bottle or pick up a flying courier so soon. And actually, I really like this rotation by R5 just because TNK, he's killed the creep wave. If he goes to the next one, then the Gyro will actually be effectively cut off, and he can just dive them.
Yeah, he's only level 1, so the range is pretty low on Burrow Strike, but it does have the full duration.
Oh, and he actually missed it.
Oh, wow, that's a big loss there. That's going to cost an extra 30 seconds out of the Sand King for his rotation, so this might seem very small, but it really is a big thing, because this is going to mean that their tri-lane is even more in danger during this period
of time.
And
Yanni actually goes for his heal boots.
Oh,
he's
wow.
Going to get picked up here.
And double Iron Shell on these 2 supports. He is going to go down. I believe this could be first blood. Yes, the Iron Shell gets it. That's Darkseer getting the first blood in the bot lane, and now this lane that he was already free farming is even more in his favor.
Yeah, and being given a free stun with that surge, really, really nicely done. And it was actually a bit of luck. On the top.
Chaos Knight ends up taking a kill from the Morphling. That was with the stun as well as the Reality Rift. Yeah, so some good EXP going to them, and more mana as well. So almost 400 gold for the Wisp here. Bot lane is pushing out a little bit. The creeps are all dead, and Gyrocopter is going to clean out the wave.
Yeah, and Rubik's actually not able to do anything. And mid.
Yeah, he's going to get stunned. It almost goes down, actually, but great stun under tower, and he's going to bottle up to full from this one. So, I mean, basically, his Dragon Tail just buys him that second. The only case where I could see Dragon Tail not landing is maybe if he's about to die, and then Jay maybe, or Joven, excuse me, ends up using a Meld Strike and disjoints it, and he chooses to run. Wow, he almost dies the Flame Breath there. Turns Refraction on. Not the best reaction time. That cost him a lot of HP, and I'm really surprised that even landed.
Yeah, and actually, Kevin, there are 2 flying couriers out on the map now.
No way. They upgraded both of them. I can't.
And actually, Yanni's going to pick up the Darkseer, who actually tries to dive and just gets picked off. But 2 flying couriers, Kevin. It's the bottle delivery service.
It's going to happen. They're doing their best to empty the fountain.
Now.
Yeah, I mean, for the offlane Darkseer, it is pretty inexpensive. I mean, 600 gold. The amount of HP regen it gives is fantastic, and the mana regen as well. It's a little bit less dangerous than a Soul Ring for the fact that your HP is more or less always going to be full. I mean, you're mostly using the Bottle Crow for the mana fill, so it costs a whole lot less than a Tranquil Boots and a Soul Ring, and it can do almost the same if you do have that dedicated courier. So I can see some benefit in it. And think about late game, man. They don't even have to like worry about fighting over courier. It's gonna be great.
If they lose one courier, Kevin, they have a backup.
They have a backup. They're prepared, man.
That's so innovative. That's next level.
It totally is. All right.
But Joven actually doesn't pick up Meld at all, which I kind of think is pretty interesting. I think he's just trying to keep the Dragon Knight out of the lane. And plus, Dragon Knight has so much armor to begin with, so I don't actually think he thinks that Meld will do anything. Maybe opting to farm a little more than gank.
We actually saw this on a TA yesterday as well. I can't remember what the matchup was, but the TA did the same thing. Just completely skipped a Meld and got a second level of Side Blades for the extra range, just so that they can hopefully CS a little bit more safe. We actually have the Rubik shifting over for a possible gank. Visage is actually right behind him at level 4. I don't know if they're aware that each other exists because there's actually no wards here, but they're going to find each other right now. There's the telekinesis lift from Rubik. He puts him high ground. This is not good for him. He has 0 tangos, which means he's completely blocked in by trees. He actually needs a TP scroll or a set of tangos to get out of from this. And they don't have 2 couriers right now, so
if they
that's
had 2
not
couriers,
fun.
oh, and mid.
One stun mid, going on the TA, right click as well. Look at the damage output. That was a DD on Dragon Knight, and they're able to score the kill quite easily. Having those extra supports to right click really does make a big difference.
Yeah, and actually, the double damage and the lack of Meld means that they actually don't have to pick up any sort of dust. And I don't actually think they can right now. I mean, SD's barely got enough money to afford anything. He's not going to have boots for quite some time. And they're actually quite under-leveled as well compared to the top lane, how well they did. And Razor's actually just having a free farm top compared to Lakel's, he doesn't even have boots yet. He actually just has a wand, almost a lot of other items. He has a circlet, a ring of protection, and nearly 400 gold, and they're actually going to go on him at top.
They will stun him and a lot of right-clicking, but he's going to waveform out. Even with the fact that he survived, this is the big loss to Morphling in the early laning stage. His mana costs have gone so much up because of Morph. It costs twice as much mana to Morph, so just his gamble of trying to stay alive using morphing and then waveforming out of it, as you can see, he's going to have to pop his wand, and he's barely going to have enough for a waveform. So the next time they do try to go on him, he's going to have no HP. There's a dive on Gyrocopter bot, though. The surge, but a little bit of blocking from the Darkseer. There's the first lift. Here comes the next stun. It's going to land on top of him, and the Iron Shell, no chance of him surviving this one. It's just fantastic ganking from mith.trust here to guarantee that Darkseer gets the lane advantage. I love what they're doing.
Yeah. The good thing about Darkseer is he pushes the lane so quickly that it leaves little options for Gyrocopter to run. I mean, he either has to go way far back or just risk losing his tower really early. And actually, they can't do anything top. I mean, if the Sand King and the Rubik were top, they would just be dying. The Chaos Knight. So it's actually really important that they're doing something and rotating and getting levels, because otherwise they'd just be feet central up there.
And Morphling's trying to sap EXP, but this is not what we saw at TI3 from Morphlings. There was a lot of free farm Morphlings and a lot of Morphlings getting kills, but their trialing is just not simply as strong. And that's costing them a lot. I mean, it's securing their Darkseer and shutting down the Gyrocopter a lot, but this Chaos Knight's definitely going to be a threat as soon as this Wisp hits 6, which is very soon. They're both at level 5 at the moment. So hopefully for Mineski, that Chaos Knight Wisp can give them enough map control.
Yeah, and actually losing that top tower that early is a big deal, because once Wisp hits 6, there's actually nowhere free for the Morph to farm. And for anyone to farm, for that matter, it's actually really scary. And once you've lost that tower at top 2, you don't actually know where he's going to be half the time. If they just rotate down to gank, it's a really easy kill on the Darkseer as well.
Yeah, and think about where their global TP could be in the jungle now. Anywhere in this area, if it gets global TP'd on by Chaos Knight, they're not going to be behind any enemies, so it's much less dangerous for them to gank any of the people in that area. So really nice advantage for Mineski by taking that early tower, and it's going to help out a lot as well, just for that extra gold for the support heroes. I mean, Wisp is sitting at a Magic Stick and a Boots. If we compare these items to what the supports are working with on mith.trust, they're actually doing okay because of all of their ganks, but they're still slightly ahead here.
Yeah, and actually the farm advantage is huge. The out of the top 4 farmers in the game, we've got 3 of them on Mineski. And Jay's actually had a really good time, whereas the Morphling, the hero that is actually really, really farm dependent, has nothing. He's got 16 CS compared to 53 coming out of the Chaos Knight. So I don't actually know how much of an impact he'll have in the mid game.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tough, and we'll see what build he goes to adjust for this. I mean, I always feel like grabbing a Lincoln Sphere on Morphling is kind of necessary to stay alive, but at the same time, it doesn't really increase your damage output a lot. There's a gank going mid, actually, Reality Rift, and a follow-up stun. Only a 1-second tether, really unlucky there, but the Spirit damage, as well as the TA, he's solo, he's popping Bottle, but it does not matter. Templar Assassin able to take the kill with her phase, as well as her Bracer. She's going to be going for a drum phase build, it looks like. We saw something similar yesterday, just completely skipping Blink Dagger, and probably a Yasha afterwards, I think.
There's a good chance of that, yeah. It just gives you a lot of mobility. It makes it difficult for you to get locked down. And on top of that, I mean, the drums just gives you a little more tankiness to go along with the refract.
Darkseer showing at mid, level 9. He's gone Arcane Wand, and where's his bottle? Oh, that's right. I'm sure it's sitting on a pig somewhere. Yep, looks like his bottle is flying to the top lane. Morphling at this point, just boots. Looks like he wants to make a Ring of Aquila. He's pretty close to it, but only 1 death and 25 CS. So as you can see on the net worth, like we said earlier, he's having a tough time.
Yeah, I actually think the Darkseer should just say, I don't need my bottle anymore, I have Arcane Boots, you can have it, Morph.
That's a good idea, actually. It would cost him HP regen, and he would be still a little limited on mana. I don't think Arcane Boots by itself is quite enough to stay out on the map. It's going to cause you things like this, where he has to walk all the way back to base and get full mana, because Arcane Boots is just not going to cut it. But it would give Morphling a pretty nice boost for early mana. Yeah,
and actually the TA trap spots them all jungling, so I think Yanni knows he has a little bit of time to farm. And it opens up the lanes a little for them. I'm actually just excited to see where this Wisp and CK decide to gank. The Wisp just hit level 6 just now, so we'll actually see what he picks up.
Well, Chaos Knight's sitting top. He's gotten a 4th level of Chaos Bolt, so he doesn't have to worry about 1-second stuns anymore. And as soon as his Reality Rift is also maxed out, his range of initiation is going to be completely good to go with the Wisp. So, again, just kind of everybody sitting passive at the moment. There's even an aggressive ward by the Dire team they placed quite a while ago with hopes of diving the Gyro more, but nothing has really came from that in a while. So, Tier 1 tower being pressured a bit bot, and all the Dire teams actually shifting top. They want to get a kill on this Chaos Knight. This is a great idea, because if they can shut him down a bit, that's going to prevent the Wisp gank early. First Burrow Strike is going to land. There's the waveform as well. Oh, he lifts a creep instead of the hero, but he is able to throw him on top of Jay. They're going to be able to turn this, though. 2-second stun on the Morphling. He's looking for kills, puts him pretty low, but he has morphing strength. The Dragon Knight is going to clean up on the Chaos Knight. A little bit of weird misfiring here. Wisp goes down next, and the Dragon Knight going to burn through these refraction charges. Wisp, oh my gosh, another waveform comes through. Can they kill the TA? He's morphing. Morphling's able to stay alive. He does get killed by the Soul Assumption, and now Gyrocopter trying to clean up the Dragon Knight. Chaos Knight by his back, it looks like, and it looks like Mineski is going to win the fight. 2 heroes still alive. They're not done yet, though. Darkseer running for his life. Oh my gosh, Rocket Barrage does so much damage, and 193 from Chaos Bolt. Mineski cleans up that fight.
Yeah, and a really good buyback by Jay to turn that around, and Visage actually did a ton of damage there. I think Jay originally a little bit misplayed that. He was trying to come in and out, flit in and out, you know, trying to get stuns off at really low HP, but the Dragon Knight with a really nice flank comes in, actually picks him off. But the farm advantage still heavily in favor of Mineski. I think if Mineski just trades evenly at this point, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, it's really nice having a team fight right by your tower. So easy to get away from this. Oh, he actually wants to fight this. There's a Sentry Ward on the high ground. But,
yeah, but he actually has a DD, and he's going to turn this around.
Oh my god, that damage output is huge at the moment. Going on Sand King next, most likely, but can they still see him? I guess this isn't their Sentry. This must be the Dire Sentry. There's the next Burrow Strike. Jay's really low. He pops his Magic Stick. Tether Stun's going to land on the Morphling, but he gets stunned by the Dragon Knight. The duration is so huge. 2-second stun. He's going to go down, actually. Who's left over? Oh, wait, Dragon Knight. Is he going to go down? He does get killed. And another waveform out by the Morphling as he stays alive. So Radiant Team trying to get more kills. I don't think he's going to get him. Puts him low. Morph here. And they might be able to take a tower from this.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised that Fat Dog didn't get him out of there. The TP is still up, and neither of those times did he relocate. I think he actually could have saved the Chaos Knight there, but they broke the tether range. Wasn't close enough. They kind of just walked away from each other, and a bit of miscommunication leads to a death that was wholly unnecessary.
That was an attempted deny by the Bats, which was a great job, but not able to get the last hit. Gyrocopter destroys the tower, and a little bit more advantage from Mineski. That's their second tower now, so 2-tower advantage over Myth. And if we look at the gold graph, it's actually a pretty big gold advantage. EXP also quite high, despite Myth breaking semi-even in the teamfight totals. So I was a little surprised to see those numbers so heavily one-sided.
Yeah, and Yanni's actually going to pick up his Shadow Blade here. And the big thing about this too is that the supports are so poor right now, Kevin, that it's going to be really difficult for them to pick up things like Dust and Sentries reliably, and that it really just puts a strain on their gold and doesn't really allow them to scale at all. And Sand King's a hero that absolutely needs an item like Blink Dagger and Arcane Boots to be useful.
Yeah, he really isn't that strong beforehand. You can't really rely on getting your epicenter off. You just kind of have to hope. You just jump in and like Burrow Strike Epi, fingers crossed. Unless you combo it, I mean, solo ganking gives you an option, but it's going to be quite tough. And especially with Wisp Tether, there's a good chance that he's going to walk into that as he Burrow Strikes into the enemy, and that's just going to pretty much guarantee that your epicenter is not going to get set off, or at least that you'll be disjointed in between your attacks while you initiate. So it's going to be a tough early game for him, that's for sure. He doesn't have his Arcane Boots yet. He actually went for an early Bracer, which I'm a little surprised about, actually. I'm surprised this isn't a Wand. Do you think this is the right choice? I mean, I think Wand is infinitely, maybe not infinitely, but it's way better than Bracer.
I mean, Bracer, though, does give you a bit more of a mana pool to play with. Or, not just that, but it gives you more HP.
There's the team fight bottom, though. They're initiating on the Darkseer. Melt Strike on the Darkseer. He's going to get bursted down, I think, with Rocket Barrage. Mecha was not enough to keep him alive. Wisp Spirit's Morphling also TP's in. Just Aquila Wand. Man, he's having a tough game. 39 last hits, 2 deaths, and 4 assists. Here comes the Rocket. Is he going to wait for it? Will we learn? Yeah, he's going to take it. Wow, that was actually a lot of damage. This is leveled up. He is actually leveling up Homing Missile. Level 13 Gyrocopter. I don't know how this guy is this level already. This is so early. But he is actually leveling up his Homing Missile. Now, benefits to this, almost all Gyros actually don't even touch this skill after level 1. And some don't even get it, because it is quite easily to shut down. If you look at Myth's heroes, though, they do have quite a few melees. Darkseer, Sand King, an atypical melee support, and a Dragon Knight. So maybe he's looking at that melee lineup and saying, I have a better chance of landing homing missiles. I can cast them every 11 seconds and maybe do some damage this way.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I actually think it's not too bad of an idea here, just because it gives some wiggle room, too, for Mineski. If a bunch of heroes are trying to kill the Rocket, then it gives them a little more leeway in fights. And actually, the thing I want to talk about right now is Lakel's farm. I mean, we saw him at top with absolutely nothing, and since then, I mean, I think about 5 minutes ago he had 30 CS, and since then he's actually just picked up 20 on top of that, and that's just a product of Mineski forcing fight after fight after fight.
Yeah.
And actually, Lakel's has to be there every single time, just because waveform is like, it is reliable damage, and it is pretty good, but it's just giving him no time to farm, and the Chaos Knight actually has the benefit of having farmed early.
Ooh,
I mean, he can come to these fights, and he's got items.
I think they're thinking about jumping on the Morphling. The Wisp CK are sitting there. There's a missile charged up. If he doesn't waveform dodges, they're going to teleport on him. I think, yep, they're going right in.
Yeah, but there's
the
a counter
Rift. They're counter ganking. Burrow Strike lands on 3 with a great vacuum. Actually, they steal an ability. It's a level 2 called on. Great steal, and oh my gosh, look at that team fight swing. Vacuum into Burrow Strike, a call down on top of that, and an epicenter. What a swing. And that support combo is insane. Vacuum Burrow Strike, you can telekinesis afterwards. It gets a guaranteed epi on 3 melee heroes. That is so much damage output. And mith.trust, what a swing.
Yeah, and they actually just dangled that hero out there.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, well, we'll just turn this around. And Myth actually just waiting behind, and, you know, they just led them like sheeps to the slaughter, turning them into mutton.
Yeah, I mean, there was mutton everywhere in that team fight. It was absolutely insane. They had no chance of fighting back. It was seriously like a bunch of wolves.
Lots of mutton.
Yes.
So
much.
Actually, Mineski still has a slight advantage, I feel, but it did even out in the kill score, and they did pick up a tower with that. Just really, really good game sense. I mean, I'm a little surprised that Mineski decided to go on that. It was kind of obvious, right? Everyone was missing off the map. I mean, TA has traps in the jungle as well, so, I mean, she would have seen somebody walk by that, and the Morph was playing so far up, and he didn't even bother dodging the Rocket.
Yeah,
I mean,
he went for it.
Yeah, that was like the perfect bait.
I thought it was a great setup, though. I mean, the idea is very cool, but we saw this the same thing yesterday with the Chaos Knight Wisp combos. Despite the lane being pretty strong, as soon as they hit level 6, the ganks actually don't get any kills, and people have said similar things about Bat Redder sometimes. You wait till you know that he's probably got a Blink Dagger, and then you look for the obvious target, you set up, wait till he initiates, and you just blow him up, because he doesn't have much tank after that. And just shutting down that first gank completely prevents your opponents from snowballing for the next few minutes, and it gives your team a really big advantage. And despite this huge gold disadvantage that they're sitting at, they're coming back for this one. That's Observer gets put down, Templar Assassin, a lot of trouble. Iron Shell, he looks pretty dead. Vacuum as well, and they actually kill him quite fast. Is this a mega comeback? They definitely peaked over 10k gold. I think this counts as a possible comeback game.
Yeah, it definitely does, but, I mean, the issue right now... Oh, they're actually going to miss.
Ooh, that was close.
Yep. I mean, the issue right now for Myth is that Mineski is about to pick up 2 BKBs. The CK is just shy of his. The Gyrocopter is actually going to pick up his soon as well. I mean, he's about 1350 gold off. And a lot of Myth's damage right now is purely born on top of their magic damage. Not a lot of physical damage. Lakel's doesn't actually have a lot of damage items. I mean, he has a Ring of Aquila and Power Treads, and actually he has an item coming to him, and that's a Ghost Scepter. So that's all magic damage. So what are they actually going to do when they pick up 2 BKBs on key heroes? And on top of that, I mean, the Dragon Knight opting not to go for that Shadow Blade build that we see that kind of ramps up his DPS. And he's actually picking up an Ogre Club, meaning he's going to be a little tankier, but there's not going to be a lot of physical damage that comes out on the top of Myth.
Yeah, it might hurt them quite a bit here. But again, we saw the last team fight. Vacuum, Epicenter, as well as a Rubik Lift and Fade Bolt. It is a lot of AoE damage, but they've got to catch him before the BKBs. Otherwise, it's not going to do a whole lot. So the rest of the Radiant team is still sitting in the jungle. Fat Dog's just going to stick it out with the Chaos Knight. And even Visage actually farming decently well in the jungle. He's going Aghanim Scepter actually. He's got a point booster picked up already. Is somebody else buying the support items though? Looks like Wisp is going mech. He's a little bit away from it, so it's kind of a greedy build. Our off support here doesn't have some key items. He could get. There's already an urn on the Wisp, I guess. Do you think this is okay? Do they have a mech? Yeah, they're building mech. He's got urn already. He's going Aghanim's Visage. It is good. The bats are fantastic, honestly, as you level them up.
I would have actually liked to see an item like a medallion, just so they could pick up a Rosh alternatively as well and just put out a little more damage. But you know, the point booster does give you a lot. It gives you mana, which Visage desperately needs. It gives you HP. And it actually builds into something useful. Whereas if you go Bracer, I mean, half your team already has drums.
Yeah, and there actually are a lot of heroes that could benefit from being medallioned on Myth's team, like Morphling, for example, especially when he morphs heavily to Strength. Most of his armor will get removed that way, so getting an extra -6 on that can actually really increase your damage output. So, and Dragon Knight as well. The guy's got a lot of armor. It's going to help reducing it slightly.
Yeah, I'm actually really liking that TA trap over there. If you see above the jungle, they actually spotted all 4 heroes with that, and so they knew that the morph again was a bait. So I mean, Myth is trying to force things here, and Mineski playing a little bit over-eager and coming into them. So I think the best thing for Mineski to do right now is farm up their BKBs and just turn it into a farming game again. I mean, they fought a little early, and that allowed Myth to come back because they got a little over-eager with their advantage. But I think if they just turn this into a passive farming game, I mean, they're quite far ahead in that regard. They know the morph has nothing, and just the way that he's building too with that Ethereal Blade, it makes them almost all reliant on their magic damage. And we've actually got 2 BKBs now on Mineski, so I want to see how this fight goes. I mean, they're going to need to get the Vacuum and Initiation off with the Sand King stun if they have any shot at winning this fight.
Well, like you said, Myth was pretty all-in on defending the Morphling on the top lane. He's doing some split pushing right now, but Mineski just hopped forward with the smoke, took the tier 2 mid, and they were not in position in time to fight that, so not looking too good for them. They get another tower, so more gold advantage going to them, and things are actually going to bounce back up towards the 10k mark. All of these great little counter ganks and things by mith.trust has helped to level out the game for a bit, but it is still not looking like their game at the moment. So can they fight back from this? TA is getting very close to her BKB as well. Yasha drums, huge movement speed, 471 actually, this is great. And they're going to try to take the mid tower.
Yeah, and they actually have a lot more physical, natural physical DPS, just in the form of Meld, I mean CK's ult, and he's actually going to come right through.
Wow, great stun on the Dragon Knight, follow up 2-second stun. Vacuum looking for it, but there's BKBs on everything. Dragon Knight's running for his life. The call out's not going to catch anybody, but Rubik does deal it. That's a level 3, by the way. So 550 magic damage, but they still lost the Dragon Knight. I love his choice to run into the river instead of going towards his allies, because he was most likely going to die no matter what, but instead he guaranteed that none of his ally supports died. That was great.
Yeah, that was actually a really smart maneuver. And everyone just kind of gets out, and 2 BKBs were used as well. I mean, that's kind of the weakness of Mineski's team. They don't actually have a lot of setup or ways to close distance aside from if Jay uses both of his spells, you know, his Chaos Bolt and Reality Rift. Then from there on out, they get kind of screwed. But Jay's actually going to get lifted on top.
Vacuum onto the high ground. They don't actually know if he's on. He uses Reality Rift on the Roshan, but doesn't get a Templar Assassin, picks it up. Will they initiate this? They're thinking about it. The spirits are checking, but they don't actually know where Jay is. The bat's actually going to feed. Needs a 3rd hit, and he's going to resummon it. So only 100 gold going to him. And is that Wisp TPing?
Yeah, he actually TP'd out. I think what they were trying to do is bait the bats over so the CK could kind of
Oh, so you can reality them in. Okay.
But they actually just got 2-shotted and gave up 100 gold.
Yeah. It was not always the best. So Morphling is pretty close to his Ethereal Blade. He is going a very bare bones build. Doesn't actually have any HP regen items, just going for Aquila Wand. He's going to be picking up the Ethereal Blade. He's going to be looking for solo kills, most likely on the Wisp. Wisp is pretty squishy as a whole. He doesn't quite have mech finish, and if he can finish this E-Blade before the Wisp actually finishes mech, he is going to be definitely killable.
Yeah, Morph actually not too far from that, but I mean, a 26, 27 minute Ethereal Blade, that doesn't really sound too menacing.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, the Dragon Knight's going to pick up his BKB in 700 gold? I mean, where's the damage going to come from?
Fire Breath and Epicenter. The Sand King is close to Blink, though. He's at 1,600 gold. He's honestly had a great game. 4, 1, and 5 on him. I mean, that's just really fantastic for support. Even though he is only level 8, the Epicenter is going to do maximum 660 damage with this Burrow Strike, but it's not bad. This could be way worse, considering how this game has been back and forth. Having this support be farmed is an absolute godsend to Myth.trust.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the only way that Myth, in a lineup like this where they're facing 3 BKBs, is going to win this fight is if R5 can pre-channel his ult and then get a stun off on at least 1 or 2 of the BKB'd heroes, and then they blow those heroes up immediately. Or get them low enough so that the BKBs don't actually matter.
Yeah, and once you get Blink Dagger, you can control those things a lot better, actually. Just blinking into a angle that'll give you a lineup on 2 heroes, and if you can do that, and stop the BKBs early, you should be able to burst down a lot of their HP and maybe turn the fight and outlast their low HP. So, Pipe next on Darkseer. He's about 900 gold away from that. Sand King going back to the bot lane. He's also got Sandstorm maxed out as well. It's actually not bad magic damage, and also great for burning down illusions, actually.
Yeah, and I actually really like to see R5 pick up his Blink Dagger and then kind of just hide. You know, do that thing that Sand Kings do. Or once they pick up the Blink Dagger and they get that one fight. You know?
He needs to go stand in some trees by the middle of nothing, just like for seeing.
Just sand dance. I don't know.
Yeah, endlessly. Can we just talk about how cool his cosmetics are, though, for a second? They look so good.
I mean, I don't really see it, Kevin.
He sells a Ironwood branch and he's got a Blink Dagger now. More important. It's a push top from Mineski. They're going straight for the tier 2. Actually, they are even backdooring this technically. Not going to be able to burst through it, but any second here, they'll be able to do damage. Creep Wave is going to go down, and it looks like Myth is completely out of position here. They've got 4 heroes mid. They're essentially trading for tier 2s, but who's going to do it faster? I'm guessing Mineski. We've got Gyrocopter TPing back to the racks. There is no glyph just yet, but Morphling. Oh, I love this. This is a really cool strat, actually. Morphling, on purpose, using his ulti on the Dragon Knight when Dragon Knight uses his ulti. And these orb effects do apply, so the corrosive breath is actually doing more and more damage to the tower. So that's kind of a cool little combo that we see sometimes, but I haven't seen that in quite a while. Dragon Knight and Morphling on the same team.
Yeah, and actually the Ethereal Blade is going to get picked up on the Morphling. He's level 13 too, so that works quite nicely. I mean, the issue with getting one really, really quickly is that you don't actually have the levels and your abilities to really put it to use. But he's actually got level 3 Adaptive Strike to go along with it now. So, I mean, if the Wisp takes any sort of damage and he uses the mech a little early, then he should be one-shottable. And in against a Wisp lineup, like a Wisp CK, the key is actually to pick up the IO, as he's called. I don't know why I keep calling him Wisp.
For good reason. It's his name.
I know, it's really depressing.
So sad. Our TA on the high ground is tanking, but she has the Aegis. DK has a BKB, actually. If he uses his Black King Bard, this is gone. So he's got to be a little careful and choose his battles. 30 seconds left until his Dragon form, so he actually doesn't want to pop this yet. You guys might be a little confused why he's not maxing this out, because the Green Dragon is actually going to be great against the TA. The damage over time to break the shields, and also great for pushing. A little better than worrying about AoE at the moment. So.
Yeah, and actually R5 setting up, and he's going to blink in.
Wow, he actually didn't channel Epicenter first.
And he's got 2.
Weird. They vacuum, though. They're doing right clicks. Nobody's dead yet. 2 seconds on a Darkseer. He might be in trouble, actually, but Mech gets popped. That's going to keep him alive, actually, and the bats are dead. We haven't seen an EV combo just yet. Will he go on Gyro? He's thinking about going in somewhere. They just lost Rex and nothing else. I'm surprised not more happened there.
Yeah. Actually, Mineski has a really difficult time closing, but...
There's the stun, actually, going on Chaos Knight. He's going to burst him down. Chaos Knight goes down. EV paying off completely. Epicenter as well. There's another vacuum, and they pick off the Gyrocopter. The last hero is going to go down. That's TA. He's going to be respawning shortly, and it's just a Visage, actually. He's going to throw solo jumps, and I think... this is most likely going to be a Dragon Knight dying, asking for a pause in the middle of a team fight. That's a disconnect actually from Darkseer. That's pretty serious. He's right in the middle of the fight. He's got full HP right here. He could surge the Dragon Knight and maybe save him. It really depends. Although his Visage is going to get the Soul Assumption off in time, I'm not sure. He actually does have a Medallion picked up now, by the way.
I mean, if... oh, okay, well, the Visage is there. So it's going to be a little difficult for Abba to live. I mean, Fat Dog actually has Tether and relocate back up. He's got 5 charges of Magic Stick as well. So, I mean, he could just tether to the TA and they could turn this around. But great fight by R5. I mean, he was really smart about the way that he used his ultimate. He waited for the BKBs to be popped first. He waited for Mineski to commit, chase their team. Myth doing a really good job of spreading out, not committing at all. And then when Mineski's BKBs ran out, they actually just ran in, turned it, surged the Dragon Knight forward, and then while they were dealing with the Dragon Knight, R5 just got the perfect ult.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And especially just the initiation stun on the Chaos Knight. Once his illusions are gone, he's got a lot of HP, but he only has 8 armor, and they had a lot of magic damage, and they bursted him with the Morphling nukes. He's still high ground here. He's got a lot of time before he can do a combo, but he is being useful. And it doesn't seem like a lot of damage, but you have to understand how great bursting a hero down is. It's essentially what every hero would like to do in a team fight. If you can take a hero out of the fight, especially a carry like Chaos Knight, you've done your job, honestly. Even if he just does mediocre damage for the rest of this fight with some right clicks and a waveform, it's going to be enough. And this is going to possibly snowball him now. He's 1, 2, and 5. He's actually got pretty decent last hits, the highest on his team. And here comes the resume. Will Dragon Knight get picked off? I assume TA is going to be able to pick this off. He's running for his life here. Possible surge. He actually throws the stun on top of the TA. He's going to stay alive. I can't believe it. Spear's coming through and doing some good damage as well. But Morphling waveforms into the damage. And they're going to send back. So Wisp sacrificing his life here for the TA. I really like the decision to stun from the Dragon Knight. That was great. I think there was a good chance he would have gotten right-clicked otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. I think
oh wow, they're actually coming back here. Oh, 4-second stun on the illusion.
I think that was like the first 4-second stun I've seen on Jay. He's actually gotten really unlucky. All I've seen are 2-second stuns.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing the weakness in Mineski's lineup in the sense that they don't really have a whole lot of disables or ways to stop Myth from just running away, and actually a 4-man stun.
Vacuum as well, breathe of fire. They're going back in, 3-second stun now on Dragon Knight. He's trying to steal something. He stole a cast ball. Pretty good ability for Rubik to work with. But who will they go on? BKB almost out for Chaos Knight, and will they finish this? Dragon Knight's running for his life, but those traps are so-so. There's another blink forward stun from the Sand King. He's got to run for his life. He does go down. Another Fade Bolt. 2-second stun on the Templar Assassin. More right clicks as well. Surge and the Ion Shell is doing a lot of damage. He pops BKB actually. He needs to get out of here. He actually bought a Blink Dagger and they need to right click him, otherwise he's going to get out of here. Will they right click? He doesn't right click fast enough, and the blink away from Templar Assassin gets him out of there. I don't think he realized that he had a blink picked up, but that absolutely kept him alive there. Dragon Knight did not check his inventory, and because he was magic immune, the Ion Shell did 0 damage, so it did not disable his blink. That was a kill they should have had, but unfortunately for Abba, he just didn't check his items, and I don't blame him. I don't think I would have either.
Yeah, Mineski actually still a little bit ahead, but I mean, Myth is just completely outplaying them in team fights right now.
Yeah.
And the great thing here too is that they're wasting the BKB charges. I mean, they've burned 2 on the Chaos Knight. I think they've also done the same to the Templar Assassin and the Gyrocopter as well. So I mean, a few more fights like this, and we could conceivably see Myth back into this.
Yeah.
They have no way of killing that Morphling once he picks up another major item, and he's actually going to get an ulti orb on top of this now. So he's quite tanky. Does quite a bit of damage as well.
Which item choice do you think he's going to be going?
A Scotty would work really well here too. I don't think if he gets a Lincoln's, he'll be nigh unkillable as well. I mean, at this point, anything he picks up would do well for him. I mean, that's kind of the issue we talked about with Mineski's lineup in the beginning of this game. Just the lack of disables. I mean, they have a ton of slows, right? But not a whole lot in terms of trying to keep them in the fight.
And the only melee carry that they can move into an Abyssal Blade is going to be Chaos Knight, but he's going to focus on an Armlet first, so it's going to be quite a while until we see another reliable disable come up from Mineski. If anything, do you see any reliable disables on the way for any of these heroes on a Radiant team? I don't see anything other than like getting a 3rd bat, but it's going to be a long time until he finishes Aghanims, I think.
Nope. And actually, a Smoke ain't going to come out of Myth. This is really good. If R5 can, I mean, he's been playing phenomenally. If they do win this game, definitely my MVP. I mean, hitting that 4-person stun in mid, getting that epi off the first time around with the Blink Dagger, he's just played phenomenally.
And he's level 11 now, so his ulti gets an extra 2 pulses, so an extra 200 magic damage that is possible. All the Radiant heroes, or at least 2 of them, are in the river. There's actually not a lot of dire wards up, just a single one by the river. It's not able to spot a whole lot of their team. And they're actually checking their own jungle camps for Mineski. They think Mineski is playing so safe. They did put an Ion Shell top, which is going to reveal that at least Darkseer was there, but at this point they're all grouped up and expecting something, so I don't think we'll see a kill happen from this.
No, not at all, but it is good for them to take risks like this. Myth is a team that would do well to initiate on top of Mineski and not the other way around. But a Replicate going to come out. Morph is actually just going to continue to farm, and I mean, at the rate he's farming, he's finally starting to catch up. He surpassed the CK and the Darkseer in farm. Still quite a ways behind the Gyrocopter, but I mean, the fights are definitely going in the way of Myth right now.
And Dragon Knight's going to be able to work on his next item pretty soon. I think he made a slight mistake on his skill build. Unless he's saving a skill point. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. But he's about to hit 16. You want to have your level 3 Dragon Knight ulti by the time you hit 16. So he's either saving a skill point because he doesn't want the Fire Dragon or he accidentally put an extra level in the stats, which is possible, but hopefully not the case for him. Once you hit 16, the ulti is fantastic. The AoE is not necessarily what you like, but it's a free Scotty, essentially. It does an AoE slow, and then when he pops his ulti, Morphling's going to make Replicant of him, and then probably just right-click that on Chaos Knight, I'm guessing. It's going to slow him and all of his illusions, and that's just going to be a really big detriment to Mineski's movement.
Yeah, they actually need... I think Mineski either need to engage fights better and not be so hasty with popping their BKBs. I mean,
yeah,
they just kind of like blow them immediately, or they need to just continue to farm a bit. I think Mineski had a fair advantage going into the fights, but I mean, Myth has just simply outplayed them in the team fights. Quite heavily, too.
Yeah, they have. It's with the gold advantage. I mean, the gold advantage has been pretty severe ever since the start of the game. This is 8 minutes, and they were sitting at 2k advantage, and it just kept going up and up and up, and the team fights keep going okay for Myth. But the scary thing is that the raiding team is out-farming mith.trust. If the graphs continue to go up, even after the wins, it's a lot of wasted EXP, or at least more efficient farming from Mineski. Gyro helps out, TA as well. Myth is working with a Morphling, who's pretty much got some okay right-clicks with Waveform, and Dragonite's got Breathe Fire, and that's about it. So this is the main reason. They just got a lot better farmers on the Radiant team.
Yeah. Something really interesting, though, is Myth actually picked up... they have a lot of defensive items. I mean, the Sand King has Sandstorm, obviously. He can stun away. He has Blink Dagger. I mean, they have Surge, a BKB on the Dragon Knight, and they've actually picked up a Ghost Scepter on the Rubik as well. And that actually just makes him invincible. So,
wow.
Just a really difficult team, yeah. So, what that's going to mean is if the supports can survive, they represent the disables for the most part for Myth. And, I mean, so all you have to do in a team fight is outlast. So if Mineski can't pick off the supports early, and there actually are quite difficult supports to pick off, I mean, with the pipe and the mech coming out of Myth as well, it really makes them tanky.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't actually know how they're going to... I mean, they can't really burst down a support, right? As long as the Darkseer has Surge up and he can protect, then it should be okay. I mean, there's no pipe on the way of Mineski.
Ooh, they're going to find the TA. There's a blink through. They're going to break into him. Oh my gosh, even the EB. As soon as that refraction was gone, they just blew her up completely. He is going to be going Scotty on the Morphling. Double Ultimate Orb now. There's going to be so much slow coming out of mith.trust team. They're going to have a ultied Dragon Knight. By the way, he did hit 16. Looks like he did miss skill. They're going to have an ultied Dragon Knight who has a slow. They're going to have an illusion of him who has a slow. And then they're going to have a Morphling who actually has a Scotty. I've never seen this before, but it is going to be so hard. Once the team fight starts, Mineski is committed pretty much. They're not getting out of it. They're not going to be able to walk away.
And that's exactly what mith.trust wants. They want a fight where it's really mobile. They can go in and out, in and out. And I mean, they're just Team Kite. They have a Morphling who's really, really tanky. I mean, he has Waveform. They've got Surge, Stun from Sand King. They have a Blink Dagger as well. A Ghost Scepter on the Rubik. Yeah. I mean, how exactly... I mean, the item choices from Myth are just phenomenal.
Yeah, and he skipped Wand to get the Ghost Scepter. He knew that when he grabbed Ghost Scepter, Black Cannon, 0 damage, TA, 0 damage. Chaos Knight can Chaos Bolt, and that's all. He absolutely rushed this thing, and luckily for him, he was able to get it without losing the game, basically. Now that he has it, he's got a guaranteed 4 seconds. I mean, his KD is 0, 2, and 13. Their supports are just playing so well this game. Even Sand King is still definitely positive, so... I think Myth has a good shot at winning this game. They're still behind in gold graph, but like we said, their team fight is getting better and better. But will the gold advantage that Mineski continues to accrue, will that make the difference?
I mean, what Mineski needs to do right now is just farm, get your hero so, like, farm that they can just sit stationary and right-click and have them just protect the gyrocopter. And if they can do that, I mean, they should be able to win. And they're actually going to engage on mid.
Wow, big whiff from Mineski, actually. They go in on the Sand King, but he actually immediately Sandstorms. Visage was in the back of the fight, so they didn't get the kill. And it cost them a BKB usage on Dragon Knight. But if they would have lost a hero there, that with a gold advantage, Mineski easily could have taken a Rax, or at least the tier 3 tower. Actually, the tier 3 tower is already gone, so that would have been a melee barracks if they lost that hero. So they're going to have to fight without a BKB on the Dragon Knight. 50 seconds cooldown on this, but can Myth hold this? They're going to try. They're actually backing off. They're just going to take Roshan instead, so a little bit of trickiness.
Plus Meld, but I mean, Myth is going to come around here, clear out this creep wave and try to swing around on them, but I don't know if they'll get there in time.
It's dying really fast here. The illusions are on the high ground. These are bats actually checking things out. Chaos Knight illusions trying to spot out the enemy heroes, but Roshan is about to fall. It's got 1,000 HP. It's going to be close. There it goes down. There's the wall. There's the vacuum. Only catching Chaos Knight, but they will walk through this. So a lot of Chaos Knight illusions hitting damage on the back. Morphling gets caught out in the front. His morph is not enough to stay alive, so he's not going to be able to combo anybody down. And now Dragon Knight's running for his life. 16-second cooldown on him. The supports as well trying to get out of here. Rubik is likely going to die. The missile is going after him, but no, it's actually Dragonite that they want to go for. They want to secure the kill on this guy, but he does have buyback if he does get killed, and he is definitely going down. So, oh, Sand King as well. If they lose Sand King, that would be bad. He can buy back if he dies, possibly. They're going back in, though. Morphling does purchase back. Dragonite purchasing back as well. Can they catch anybody on the retreat? Wisp is going to take the Chaos Knight home, but Visage is looking a little in trouble here. Nope, they're just going to give up, so a lot of buybacks forced. I was on just Morphling, excuse me. So, oh, I'm sorry, and Dragonite. So 2 Morphling and Dragonite buybacks for mith.trust. That cost them a lot, actually.
Yeah, and they can't actually do that. Myth is significantly behind in gold.
Yeah.
And what's been their saving grace this game is that the fact that they've been just out fighting Mineski. But Mineski picks up a free Rosh there, and they had the better position as well. Nobody in Myth was willing to follow, or not willing, but they weren't in position to follow up. I mean, if they could have gone the epicenter combo off with the wall and the vacuum, then maybe we could see a fight happen there, but it was just so disorganized. And I mean, Mineski did a really good job too. Did you see Owa landing his bats in the middle of that tiny choke? So it made it really difficult for Myth to engage. And that was actually the first really good fight that Mineski's had in quite some time.
Yeah, that was a really good point. I did see the bats scouting up on the high ground as well, so they were definitely set up for that. And it is so hard to contest Roshan when one team has Meld as well as a Medallion. It gives you such a nice advantage. Just a single hero that lets you burst him down that fast, it's really great. So they were able to take it so fast that Myth couldn't set up in time. And if they could have won or tried to fight that team fight straight up, I think they would have a much better chance of pushing this game farther. But that's going to hurt him so much.
And Joven's going to pick up a Deso as well soon, I think. I mean, I don't see what else that Mithril Hammer could be, and he's actually not that far off.
Maybe he just likes casual Mithril Hammers.
I could see that. Maybe he's picking up a new BKB. Who knows, Kevin?
Yeah, he could have too. You never know. It's at 7 seconds. It's time to drop it. Send it into the abyss. You don't need that anymore. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I think O's given up on his Zags. It's really sad, but he's picked up a cloak now. And he's had that. I mean, how long has he had that point booster for?
It's really cost efficient HP and mana, honestly.
Oh, definitely. And it also, if you're doing better, you can turn it into something. Obviously.
Yeah, it's like if you just wanted a vitality booster, you can buy that. But he wanted mana as well because he went shreds, so it's pretty good combo. All right, they're going to be surging in, looking to maybe team fight. That's a surge from Darkseer. It scares back the Radiant team. I don't know if they're actually considering going on this, but Bats on the low ground, going to go high ground. They're going to be aiming for the Sand King. If they can AoE stun the Sand King or just do damage to him as he channels Epicenter, your blink is gone and your Epicenter is mostly gone. So almost an initiation. Actually, Dragonite pops his ulti, and that's going to force them back. It's actually not the worst thing in the world, in my opinion, if they wait out the Dragonite ulti. Wow, he still hasn't hit 17. That miss skill is so huge. He could have had level 16 Ice Dragon for a while now.
Yeah, and actually the Visage playing really smart now. Owa is waiting with those bats trying to catch that Sand King out.
They are going to lose them. Yeah, both of them do go down.
Oh, bat gold. The best kind of gold.
200 gold right there. Visage resummons on cooldown for 160 seconds. And now the Dragonite illusion. Oh, I love this. They put the gem on the Dragonite. Was that temporarily? Nope, he's still got it. But they put them on the gem on the illusion. He's going to go around dewarding because he can do this for free.
Yeah, that's so smart. They're actually kind of holed up in their base, and it's not going to do a whole lot for them right now, as it's not level 16, so just kind of scouting around the map. And I think, actually, he might send it bottom. No, he's going to send it back mid. Just doing a quick kind of reconnaissance mission.
Yeah, Morphling did finish his Eye of Scotty in the meantime, so he's going to send the illusion to come back from the backside of Mineski. That way, if the team fight starts, he can fight. But he kind of looks like he wants to counter push a bit. I don't even think he's going to make it to tier 2 in time. The fight's about to start. BKB's used on Dragonite. They don't have their ulti, so it's going to be tough. But BKB as well as ulti from CK. Was it worth it popping the BKB? I'm not sure. There's a glyph, actually, and they may end up retreating from this Dragonite. Illusion has 3 seconds left, and will Morphling come back? He should have a TP scroll. He does have a TP scroll, so he doesn't have to rely on this illusion at all here. And once these illusions time up from Chaos Knight, he doesn't have a BKB, he doesn't have illusions. He even forgot to pop his armlet on his Chaos Knight illusion, so they're going to be way weaker. But on the bright side, no wall.
Yeah. Looks like Mineski's looking to engage on this. They do have the Aegis still.
Oh, Visage goes a little far forward. They're going to be able to
vacuum 2 BKBs still up as well.
Kill the bats. Kill the bats.
Bat gold.
Morphling's actually pressuring the Rex in the meantime. Will he TP back? He hasn't yet. Stun comes through on the Dragonite. Epicenter lands. Jay's getting pretty low. There's going to be a call down as well. That slowed is actually pretty huge right now. Sand King's going to be able to retreat from this. And Waveform comes back as Morphling has shown up for the team fight. Rex still does go down, though. Without the wall, things are not looking so good. Dragonite about to hit 17. There it is. Frost Dragon finally coming up. That would have been really nice to have earlier.
Yeah, they actually might have been able to defend with that.
Yeah.
But doesn't the slow go through BKB as well?
Yeah, I believe it does. And their combo that they've been planning on with their draft is just now getting set up. I mean, I know they picked this. I'm pretty sure they picked this combo on purpose. Dragonite with the mid, and then a Morphling for the illusion. I mean, just think how strong this would have been if they wouldn't have lost the racks by now. I mean, if they just got the Dragonite 16 or 17 with his mistake, and then started team fighting with all of these slow abilities with the Scotty and all the Dragonite stuff, it just would have been a lot harder for Mineski to get fights off.
Yeah, and Mineski is actually, they've got their BKB cooldowns coming up, coinciding with this push. And on top of that, I mean, okay, so Mineski in the beginning of the fights thought, okay, as long as we get our BKBs off, we're going to win this fight. That was the wrong way to think about it, because then Myth, all they did was kite them around the map, but now they're being smart about it. They're sending in one BKB at a time, and then they're just kind of waiting. And they're actually doing a much better job with their BKB control.
Wow, these bats die really easily now.
Yeah.
So much physical damage from Morphling. He's looking for the second one. They're going to get resummoned, actually. He really wants the second pair. How's his gold progression? He's actually just completely foregoing the Aghanim's. He has actually went for a pipe next. And the missile comes forward. Oh, look at all the melee heroes. Can they kill it? They can.
You see the bats waiting up there?
Great positioning on them. That's a pretty good place for Sand King to wait, somewhere here, or usually over in here. One of these two places is where you'll see the Sand King waiting.
Yeah, and R5 has played phenomenally this game. Gotten his ult off every single time to his credit, but now, I mean, with Mineski using their BKBs a lot more intelligently, it's difficult, and he's actually going to go in and whip a stun. That's
a refraction, actually. So it's not the real Darks here at all. They're going in, a lot of BKBs, but all of the slow being applied to these illusions. Look how slow these guys are here. Jay trying to do his best, but a waveform through. Actually, they're going to see the Gyrocopter get picked off with the Ethereal Blade. He's going to get rifted a bit, and that's going to be a defense. Great team fight from mith.trust there. Buybacks from both Chaos Knight as well as the Gyrocopter, so I guess they're not done pushing yet. Do you think they're worried about the late game here? I mean, Morphling is one of the scariest late game heroes just because of his mobility and his nearly impossible death I mean, it's so hard to kill him.
I think they're more worried about the wall actually right now. And just the Sand King ult, if they gets caught out. I mean, think about what's down right now. The BKB on Dragonite is down, as is his Frost Dragon anytime now. The wall's going to be down, and the Sand King ult is going to be down as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And they're heavily on cooldown, by the way. Dragonite for 60 seconds. He does still have it up for a bit here, but no epicenter, no wall.
R5 surged, and a 4-man stun.
Oh, that was great. Vacuum as well. Who are they going to try to pick off? It's going to try to be the Chaos Knight, but it's not enough damage on Morphling, and now he's 4 seconds. Look at the damage output on him. He looks like he is going to go down. Can he buy back is the question. He can buy back. Nothing yet. Will he do it? They're going high ground now. Templar Assassin Desolator on the tower. They're looking to steal some abilities. It's actually a trap slow lift, and there's the buyback from Morphling. He's ready to combo in 6 seconds. They're going to grab Visage for sure. No problem. Gem on the ground. Will they continue the chase? And they're actually coming back. That's Chaos Knight with the BKB. He's about to Reality Rift, but he's going on Morphling. 2 seconds stun here. Will they be able to burst her? He's trying to survive, looking for the Ethereal Blade. Is he going to go on the Wisp? Wisp has 1,000 HP, but it doesn't look like he wants to chance it. So going to wait for the Sand King to revive. And then I'm expecting to see them go for this. Haven't quite yet. There's the wall. Vacuum again. This could be too long for Myth. Wow, Gyrocopter dies so fast. Waveform through. And the important heroes on on Mineski, excuse me, are going to go down. Wisp running for his life, but in a second, one right click, and he is going to be slow here.
Fat Dog is so dead.
Look how slow this guy is. Man, 4 dead heroes. Joven running for his life. I mean, they stayed too long for sure. The wall came up just in time, and that's the scary thing about doing those pushes where you say, I'm going to push when their cooldowns are down. And as soon as they come up, things swing, and if you don't have those timers perfectly, you're going to be out of position. You're going to say, okay, they don't have wall. Bam, it comes up, you get walled, 3-man walled, burst damage, your BKBs are gone, and you just get absolutely destroyed. So they stayed too long. Mineski overstays, and there's still a kill advantage for Myth, but the gold, not looking like that.
Yeah, I think the way that Mineski is looking at this is, if we take a second set of racks, we'll just win the game. But they can't really think like that. Is if they take another fight like that, and the Morph picks up another key item, I mean, how are they going to kill him?
Yeah, imagine this guy with like a butterfly or something, and their item progression isn't continuing. Gyrocopter, he does have a butterfly of his own. He's working on lifesteal next, but if he gets evasion, this hero's not going to die. Or even if he gets a Manta style, things are going to be a lot more confusing for Mineski in team fights. And then his single target output for damage is going to be fantastic. So he's going to go back and heal here, probably doing some more morphing. And Visage is most likely going to push. It looks like Mineski is not done yet here.
Yeah, and actually, I'm liking this decision by Jay. I think he's picking up Heaven's Halberd.
I like that, yeah. It's great against a lot of heroes, but most importantly against the Morphling. He doesn't have Lincoln Sphere. Looks like Lakel's is Lakel's. Is that correct?
I think that's how LD pronounces it. So if we get flamed for it.
All right, LD, blame LD. Lakel's is going for a Manta style. Yasha first, at least. But if he grabs a Halberd, that guy doesn't have a Lincoln's and he doesn't have a BKB. That means that you can use Halberd on him directly. Now, this doesn't stop most of his magic damage. Yeah, it doesn't stop his magic damage, but it'll stop his right clicks. And his right click is still significant right now.
Yeah. And the issue with Mineski picking up all these early BKBs is now they're all on 5-second timers. So all the Morph has to do is wait half a second, and then he just blows the Gyrocopter up. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's what he did in the last fight. After the vacuum came up, he finally said, okay, this is the time. Comboed everything, took him out really fast.
Yeah. And if you notice, Kevin, I'm alternating between saying gyro and gyro to piss people off.
Are you really? I didn't notice. I'm so proud of you, man. That was epic. I wish I could read chat right now, but I can't.
I know. They're gonna be angry though. So
look at this drawing on the map. They're like completely planning things out. They're like, don't go here. We're going over here. This is the kill zone. This is where everybody dies. But they're not actually doing that. They're looking like they're gonna smoke. Got a Dragonite following a Dragonite. He's level 19. He's got AC finish, so he's not gonna hit super hard individually. But his attack speed's going to be good, and his disable's going to be good, and the -5 armor will help the rest of his team duel. Morphling trying to get a solo kill maybe. Does he see 2 heroes top? He's probably not going to go on the TA. I assume he thinks there's a whole level 5 or 5-man team here. The ward doesn't spot any of these Radiant heroes, so I think he's a little hesitant. Yeah, he's playing it really safe. He does not want to run into a 5-man team.
Yeah, and Joven actually is going to pick up an AC as well. I think they've just gone for the we're going to do negative armor damage strat, and really smart idea. I thought they were going to do this. I mean, bait out people to come top, and then Wisp just TPs the TA in for the free Roshan. And that's actually a cheese one as well. That's huge. And they're actually just going to box back out.
So, yep, they don't really have to pressure that. It's actually not a good place to fight if you're a Radiant team. The Dire team can wrap around this way, or they can wrap around this way as well. So it's a little scary, and especially if they have things like Blink Daggers. Like, you can channel Epicenter right here, blink in, and just a lot of people die usually. So they're just going to back up for now, farm the rest of the jungle again, finish up their core items. If Chaos Knight finishes a Halberd, that's going to be fantastic. The evasion, 25% evasion applies to himself and his illusions. And again, we have no MKBs on either team, so evasion is really, really useful this game.
Yeah, and actually the TA is going to pick up her Assault Cuirass. So now we have the Desolator, the Meld, the Assault, and the Medallion.
So that's what, A tier, -5 for AC, -6 for Desolator. We're looking at is that 17? No, 19. -17, 19 armor.
Doesn't it cap out, though, at some point? I thought it was 21 or 22.
It caps out at -20. So if you're going against a hero like Dragonite, who's sitting at a casual 38 armor, it's going to take a bit to hit that minus armor cap. So I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, especially with the Melt hit and on top of the Medallion, I think this is mainly actually being done for the Morphling, who's got 35 armor.
Does he actually have more than Dragonite? It's close. They have comparable armor. And he is made out of water. How is that even? Alright, he's got these little shoulder pad things, but surely.
Yeah, Tiny's got 0 armor and Doom.
They're the manliest looking heroes, but they actually have 0 armor.
Yeah, and this water thing.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that thing is hard?
He's really good at dancing, though, so makes him hard to kill. So he's actually split pushing at the moment. Oh no, his ulti actually is going down. 2,800 in the bank, so he's saving up for buybacks, of course. Still pretty strong, but he's got the buyback, so he doesn't actually want to pressure this just yet or finish his Manta style, so he'll back off. The rest of mith.trust sitting as 4, because they know that the Morphling can get there relatively fast as well. And no new progression for Sand King, just a drum picked up. More utility for his team. Gem, Wand on Rubik, and he finally finishes Arcane Boots as well. So
yeah. Pipe of Insight is picked up on the Visage, so I've also been saying Visage and Visage a lot.
Man, you are just next level.
I'm previous level.
Throw more muttons into this cast, and this is just they're gonna be so mad at you.
Oh god. But anyways, Myth actually grouping up finally, just dewarding, looking for something. I mean, they are down to racks, but by no means are they out of this game. They've got an AC as well on Abba, on the Dragonite. The Morphling has 3,200 gold. I assume he's gonna pick up a Manta soon, or he might just save for the buyback if he thinks that Mineski will push. And I mean, I'd imagine that Mineski's going to start pushing anytime soon, right? With the Aegis?
I would hope so. It looks like they're going to group up now. And Manta style at this position would actually be really good, not just for the possible team fight aspects, but the counter pushing. He could just pop his illusions, and then he could go back to base, and hopefully his illusions could take towers. And Morphling illusions, by the way, guys, some of the scariest illusions in the entire game, just because of how much agi he has. This agi is applied to the illusions. They're going to be hitting for like a support hero on the enemy team, not to mention with insane attack speed. So you do have to worry about these in the split pushing. He's got 6 seconds left on his ulti. He can TP back to base. I assume that is going to be the case. He's going to let this die, almost guaranteed. But Mineski is going high ground already, and they've got a lot of minus armor on the tower.
Look at how fast that tower goes down.
Dragonite pops his ulti, though. They're ready to start the fight. He's putting the slowdown on the illusions. There's a vacuum in, but I can't even tell who's in there. Somebody's going to die. It's Sand King, actually. He does not get his epicenter back. He doesn't have buyback either, but it looks like they're going to be able to kill Gyro for the first time. Morphling is here.
Oh, the Wisp TP's him top.
TP's him back in. Oh, wow. He pops BKB, though. He's being chased. They're looking for a stun or at least a slow. Great blink just in time. That's going to destroy all those. Oh, Morphling goes in. Great ulti. He's got the slow in him. He can meld. He's going to try to TP. There's the adaptive strike, and he's going to be stopped. He goes high ground to God. Great meld. It's going to buy him a second. Uses waveform. That's going to stop blink. Here comes the blink in 1 second, so he's going to get out, I believe. No blink yet. All right, he's going to wait. Do I have to look somewhere else? I'm really surprised he hasn't done that yet. There's the blink. Where did he go?
Oh, he went right on top past that. That's actually one really, really difficult position for them to find him at. They do have a gem, but it looks like he's fine.
They didn't see him do this, by the way. They had an observer ward on the high ground, but he blinked. He waited for his meld cooldown. That was so smart. Waited for his meld cooldown. They can see him now. Oh, is he going to backdoor this? Can he do it? Oh my gosh, he's going for it. He backdoors it, pops the glyph. He's going to meld strike again. He is so buying his burrow strike in the Iron Shell. He's going to pay for it, trying to be cheeky and take a ranged barracks, but he trades a glyph for his buyback life. And now a fight mid, actually. Chaos Knight popping the BKB, wants to finish off the Rubik. Morphling's here, though, and he can't fight Morphling. Morphling constantly slowing. Wisp shows up, divides him a second. Waveform through, he goes down. That's actually Rubik dying. Will Wisp stay alive? TA buyback. Morphling's in trouble. I thought that was a dead Chaos Knight, but it's going to swing back again. Morphling goes down. Rubik buys back. Everybody buying back, and he got his Manta style. So on the bright side, gets the item progress, but things are going back and forth here.
Yeah, and Jay actually, the previous fight, wasn't able to get his cheese off, but I think the plan actually wasn't to do that. I think he was going to save it regardless, and they were going to just kind of suicide for the bottom racks, save for buyback, and then if you notice, as soon as the fight started, the Wisp and the Templar Assassin actually TP'd at the top, and with that Deso and that the Assault Curse, they just railed through the racks. And
okay,
I think
that's what you're talking about. Yeah. They teleported to the top and they took the melee racks. Is that correct?
So I think what Mineski can do if Myth doesn't actually decide to push here is they wait for the next buyback timer and they go for top and then do the same thing for bottom.
Well, unless mith.trust can take a barracks themselves, they're going to put the ulti down. Stun lands actually on TA. This is going to be great. Burst strike. Gyro's blown up immediately. He's dead. He's going to buy back, though, so he's got a couple extra seconds. Sand King running for his life. Going to try to come back and land an epicenter. He's actually going to channel, but Chaos Knight goes back there and cleans him up really easily. Rubik pops the Ghost Scepter as well, and these guys are being slowed. Morphling doing his best to shut down this Chaos Knight, but
Jay taking
he is
so
getting
much
low.
damage.
Oh, the stun shuts him down completely, and this looks pretty bad for Mineski. In the meantime, Io gets thrown back out, takes another nuke here. Darkseer as well as Morphling chasing down the Visage, and the BKB Gyrocopter is going to try to kill Morphling, but the surge on him, I think they might fight this. But a Soul Assumption puts him a little scared. He does have EB up if he does want to fight a Gem sitting on the high ground, but Myth is going to have to back out from this. Their HP is just a little bit too low here.
And everyone's actually kind of low. They're just resetting from the fight. Mineski actually gets blown up. I mean, the Chaos Knight did the right thing. He pops his ult, just pops his armlet, BKB goes in, but I mean, so much slow, he doesn't really have a target to go for, especially since the Ghost Scepter's up on SD.
Yeah, every time the BKB runs out, he just has a really rough time. The burst damage in the single target is huge. He actually bought a Vitality Booster, by the way. I actually don't like this choice. He got a Vitality Booster instead of finishing his Halberd, and I think this is a big mistake. The extra survivability that we get from the 25% evasion is way higher than the extra 250 HP. And yeah, the HP does apply to his illusions, but so does the evasion, and he doesn't even get the Halberd possibility. I think this is actually an item build mistake that maybe could have changed things a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I would have liked to have seen him finish that out, but Myth realizes that they're in a precarious situation. If they wait it out any longer and Mineski continues to farm, and they can farm for a buyback, they can just kind of do that Wisp TP thing again. So I think they want to avoid that and just kind of commit to a push here. The Morph isn't going to get it a whole lot stronger. I mean, he's got 2.1k, 39 armor, just 300 damage from just his right click. And on top of his F-Blade, I mean, this is the time to go.
His illusions are really taking out the tower fast. They don't have any minus armor here, but it's still pretty impressive. Dragon Knight goes high. He's going to blink forward. He has a blink dagger. What goes on Gyro? Gyro's bursted down. No BKB from him. Chaos Knight's going to fight for his life. He doesn't actually have his ulti. And mith.trust is looking like they're going to absolutely crush this fight. There's no buyback on those two carries. Are they going to be able to do this? With that blink pickup from Dragon Knight allowed them to initiate perfectly with a huge stun on the enemy carries. And now they're going to take a melee barracks mid. The only hero that's up is the TA. And TA only has AC. Deso, they're going for the tier 4s. The first tower goes down. Can mith.trust swing this? Mineski was not expecting another blink forward. Visage is trying to slow things down, but the slow's doing good damage. They're actually fighting though. There's the epicenter. TA ends up going down. Wisps goes down as well. The tier 4 towers goes down, and they're going for the throne. The glyph is dead. The important heroes are dead, and Dragon Knight is tanking the supports. It's not going to matter. And mith.trust, I can't believe it. With that blink dagger, they hopped in. They killed the important heroes, and they won the game. Oh my gosh. Did you think that was going to happen? I thought things were going to fight a couple more times here, but holy crap. Myth takes the first game versus Mineski. That was like insanely close here. They did it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, did you see what was going on in the middle of the fight? The Wisp TP'd the Templar Assassin to backdoor the bottom racks, and I actually think that was a poor decision just because, I mean, she came back to an empty base. Nobody else was left alive, and what a crazy game, though. I really thought that the way that Mineski was playing it was correct, with trying to just pick off racks using the Templar Assassin, but Myth just says, nope, we're not letting that happen anymore. They commit to a push, and they actually managed to throne it.
That was such sick play. I love the blink dagger pickup. I mean, something that you almost never see on Dragon Knight, but his disable is so great. It's like 3.5 seconds at level 4, I believe, or it's like 3.25, I think. 3.25 with 4 levels of skill points. Their BKBs were already low. They had a lot of burst damage with the Ethereal Blade and the waveform and the adaptive strike, and they just comboed that together. So it was super cool.
Yeah, I think they actually wasted the BKBs a little bit early, and then once the timer ran out, I mean, things just kind of went down from there. And special shout out to R5 for single-handedly keeping them in that game. I mean, that 4-man stun in middle when they were actually quite far behind. And then after that, getting his ultimate off as well to secure the fight. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that as a Sand King support.
Yeah.
Now we'll turn it over to LD and AUI to add some thoughts on the game.
Wow, what a way to start off day 4 of the International 3 East qualifiers. Unbelievable. Mineski, they were leading by 10,000 gold for over 35 minutes. They had 2 lanes of racks. AUI, they had that game all but in the bag. They even had CK Wisp, which makes it even harder to leave your base and avoid losing racks. They couldn't pull through in the end. A couple of interesting stats after that game. Visage is now 10-2. He was 10-1 going into that game. Your favorite hero, he notches a loss, unfortunately. I gotta say, I completely agree with Blitz about 2 key points. The BKBs, getting them early, well, it really cost them in the end, I felt. And not that they got them early, but more just that they were forced to use those charges very aggressively because you're up against a Morphling with an Ethereal Blade. As the game goes longer, it goes later. That's where the E-Blade really starts to hurt.
Yeah, for sure. BKB is an item that if you sort of get it early, then it really slows down your farm as the game goes later. It's a lot slower, for example, getting a BKB on a Gauden than getting a Yasha first, just because you can move faster between counts to the Yasha, you can attack faster, kill creeps faster. Something else that sort of started going wrong for Mineski is even though they were really dominant in their tri-lane, I felt like they didn't get as many kills as they could have. For example, that level 1 Rubik, Visage was unable to kill him because he got Soul Assumption as a Grave Chill there. As a skill, I really like Grave Chill at level 1 just because it's 70 mana, Soul Assumption is 170. You can only really use 1 Soul Assumption, so your damage output isn't that high from it. It's magical damage, which at level 1 is actually worse than physical damage. For example, Rubik has that 0-1 base armor, so the 215 damage, and that's only if you have the completed 3 counters, is going to only really be around like 155 damage, whereas 3 all attacks is going to do something around that, plus you have the extra slow for your allies to catch up against the extra hits.
So looking at the laning stage, you feel not really the best skill build from Visage, not the most efficient way. They had aggressive tri-lane, could have found some early kills, and although they did decently there, felt like they could have done more.
I mean, it's hard to criticize just because they did do quite well in their aggressive tri-lane, but I feel like when you aggressive tri-lane, you need to make kills happen. Stuff needs to happen when you're putting 3 heroes in a lane without a real pull. I mean, sure, you can put a hard camp, but it's just not the same as the medium camp into like pulling into another mid camp that say the Radiant pull can do.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really feel like it was the most polished play from either team. When mith.trust went to gank the bottom lane, Sandking teleported there. Yeah. Lakelz on his Morphling was farming the wave by himself way past the tower while Rubik was pulling. You're up against CK Wisp Visage, and he was very heavily agility morphed, which Lakelz is accustomed to doing, and it's pretty common on Morphling in general when you have a free farm lane or a 1v1 where you're pooled. He was doing that against an aggressive tri lane, a little bit greedy with his positioning and the level of agility he had, and it cost him death, so I didn't feel like that was the level of play that we saw yesterday from these teams.
Yeah, it does feel like they're playing a tad worse. This is their first game, and sometimes it takes a little bit to warm up, even though...
Yeah, it could be nerves, could be jitters. It's only game one, of course.
I mean, those Sand King ganks on the bottom lane were really good, though. We keep talking about how, like, you can put, like, a lifesteal in the short lane, you aggressive try, one of your supports picks up a early TB scroll, they TB down, lifesteal gets the open moons, kills that hero, and that's one of the reasons lifesteal is so strong, but these teams, they're like putting a Darkseer or a Clockwork in the long lane, have a Darkseer rotate there, or in this case, a Darkseer in the long lane, having Sand King rotate there, which is really, really unexpected, and it's really hard to call. It's hard for Gyro to just play completely defensive.
I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously because I'm watching Kawa just crawl around on the ground having a private little seance with our casting panel right now, but go on.
It's really hard for Gyro to just farm.
Kawa.
Yeah. Because it's impossible to know that that gank is coming in.
It seems we may be having some audio difficulties over there. Yeah, it's hard to know the gank's coming in, and I mean, it was good movement from mith.trust. I feel like one of the other keys to this game was the level of farm that Darkseer got. TNK had a pipe and a mech, I think even before the 30-minute mark, as an off-lane roaming Darkseer on a team that wasn't really getting towers, was losing heavily, and that combined with good vacuum timing and great Sand King play, I felt like they just should have lost. With 3 BKBs up on Mineski and a CK Wisp, a Gyro who had a decent farm, felt they really should have been able to break the base and then just win from there.
Yeah, it really did feel like Mineski had some trouble pushing, which is... I mean, Myth had a very good sort of turtle lineup. It's very hard to split push a Morphling, Darkseer, heroes like that who can push out the lane while getting to the other lanes very quickly, but... Still, even after they're having trouble breaking the base, I feel like with a CK Wisp, you can always farm it out. People keep underestimating CK's late game potential. If you manage to get a couple of tier 6 items, tier 4 items, whatever you want to call them, Heart, Skatey, Butterfly,
the 6k gold
but
items, the big ones.
Like Heart, Armlet, AC if you want, Manta. I really like Skatey on him. Just
on CK?
Yeah, it's
just for the stats.
Yeah, your illusions need attack speed. It gives you a lot of extra health. But he's really, really strong just because you have 3 extra illusions that are doing 100% damage. He has one of the highest damage outputs, and I very rarely see him getting that farm that he would need to do that. But when you're ahead like that, you have Raxus on them, you don't really need to press the issue that much. I think they sort of got scared because Morphling is so strong late game, and I really feel they didn't need to be.
Yeah, it felt like they just pressed the issue. They overextended. That cost them game one. Mineski, who all but had game one in the bag, it felt strategically, in terms of their farm advantage, in terms of their item advantage, in terms of their map control. They drop it. Great play from mith.trust to bend but not break. Good decision-making in the clutch. They take game one. That now sets us up for a 1-0 lead. mith.trust are going to jump into game two, being only 1 game away from moving on. But even if they do win that next game, they have a long day ahead of them. They still have to play Rising Stars, who is probably sitting back, watching and waiting and thinking, man, I hope these teams show up and play more like this and less like they did yesterday, because that's going to make our lives a whole lot easier. Great performance from mith.trust, but you got to feel like for both these teams, they're going to have to step it up if they want to take down Rising Stars. Coming up next will be game two. mith.trust, they lead the set 1-0. Who's going home first? We'll find out after this.